Hello humans! In my behind the scenes video where I update the update of my channel, I talked about wanting to monetize the channel and start to do videos for the algorithm, which means keeping it to a certain length and choosing my words and topics correctly. But I'm not there yet, so let's talk about my breasts. I don't want to talk about my breasts. I really don't. But because trans women's breasts or trans feminine non-binary people's breasts have become a talking point on the right wing again for some reason, and there's a lot of misinformation out there and just plain wackiness, I need to talk about them. I want to talk about both where I got these and the weirdness people have about, well, breasts in general and then trans people's breasts in particular. So, when you start transitioning and after you get your letters from 3 mental health professionals that show that you're not psychotic or neurotic and that you are trans and transitioning would be healthy for you, which you still have to do in the state of Indiana, you go to a doctor who will prescribe hormone replacement therapy. And when you're entering a more feminine form, that means knocking down androgens like testosterone with something like spironolactone, and increasing estrogen using estradiol, and possibly also adding progesterone to your hormonal mix. When you start the hormone treatments, your body starts almost immediately. It's a prolonged and incremental change, but I noticed the first changes within the first week. When you knock down your testosterone levels and you bring up the estrogen levels, your body starts reacting. And you're going to go through what's known as second puberty. And a big part of that is fat redistribution, which means literally what it says. Your body starts storing fat in places where women typically hold fat. Your skin becomes softer and fuller because women have more fat under the skin. You start losing the weight around your belly, not entirely, as you can tell. But it starts to fade away here a bit, but it accumulates more in your sides, your hips, and your thighs. The fat on your face starts to reposition. So your eyes open up, your jawline becomes softer, and your cheekbones become more prominent. Because the fat will stop being deposited in one place and start being deposited in another. The body is just a chemical information processing unit. Now, you put the right chemicals in, and your body reacts to what those chemicals are saying. And estrogen says, put the fat here, here, and put it here. But it's not just fat. We developed breast tissue. Early on during transitioning, we formed breast buds just like any adolescent girl. The breast buds start small and hard and get larger and thicker and eventually break apart and become full-on breasts. Lobules, ducts, and all the structures that you would see in a cisgender woman's breasts are in a trans woman's breast. Radiologically, when you take mammograms, there is no distinction between a trans woman's breast and a cisgender woman's breasts. The same structures, the same variance in density. You know, some women have rigid breasts, some women have very loose breasts. They're just breasts. And yes, I keep saying the word breasts. I actually had a bit of a head start. I had breast tissue before I started transitioning. I had what is called pubescent gynecomastia, which means growing up, I went through male puberty, but I developed breasts, or at least breast buds. They formed, they didn't get very large, and they broke apart pretty quickly. But in my case, as in with about 10% of people with pubescent gynecomastia, they left a little breast tissue behind. So when I started transitioning, that breast tissue was already there, and I began to fill out a lot quicker. I was starting to show breast within 2 months, which is pretty quick compared to some other women. I was an A cup in less than 6 months. I reached my current size of about a B within a year, which is pretty fast. It's been 6 years since I started, and they've gotten a little larger, but they're not huge. After making them this prominent, I could probably go back to school and apply for a civil engineering degree and get a lot of real-life credit because of all that it takes to make these look good. Actually, no, but they're pretty cute. I have to admit, they're pretty cute. Anyway, it's just a natural process. The difference between the male and female body is not as significant as a lot of people want to think it is. The Y chromosome only activates genes in other chromosomes. Actually, it's only one gene, the SRY gene, that activates those other genes, but all the female and male genes are already in everybody. All the chemical instructions for every type of body are already in your body. When you give your body the right chemicals, your body changes according to the instruction of those chemicals. It's that simple. As for the right, let's face it, they have a weird relationship with the female body, especially breasts. They're simultaneously the focus of all their attention when they talk about women, but also the focus of scorn. Now they're transferring that scorn to trans women by making a big deal out of trans chicks having breasts. They talk about it being unnatural, or it's so creepy trans women have breasts. They focus on how much we pay for the surgery to get them. They don't realize I grew these. I have not had any surgery. A, I can't afford it. And B, because of my hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, I scar badly. So I don't want to have implants because the scarring from them would be horrendous. Trans women are being harassed and attacked about their breasts. It happened to me. I was in a bar and a woman came up to me and said, just because you stuff a bra doesn't make you a woman. I wasn't wearing a bra at the time. So I turned to her, stuck my chest out and went, "What bra?" And physics took their course. And she turned several shades of red and walked away. It was amazing. At first, it is embarrassing and vaguely threatening when someone comes at you in public and, but it was just a fantastic feeling to throw that embarrassment back at somebody who was trying to harass me. I love it. So thank you, random lady. On the internet, of course, people are just rude. I get random comments asking, how much did you pay for those? I've seen worse in other people's comments. What they're trying to do is say that trans women having breasts is so unnatural because trans women are unnatural. They ignore all the science that says being trans is just a result of natural variation in human development. It's just how the body and brain develop sometimes. Some people can't handle that. They can't handle the fact that I had breast tissue before I realized I was trans. They can't handle the fact that I haven't had surgery. In right-wing media, the idea is that trans people don't really exist and it's just a mental illness. There's no connection between the male and the female bodies, and that's just not the case. Male and female bodies are basically the same at the genetic level, with only slightly different instructions about which genes to turn on. Trans people prove that every day. Give our body the right hormones that we need, the hormones that our brains are calling out for, and our bodies follow suit. So my advice to all the trans people out there, all the trans girls especially, ignore them. Love your body, enjoy your breasts. If you get surgery, enjoy your implants. I would say if I could get them, go with saline, just saying. Okay, that's all I wanted to say this time. I rambled there for a while, but they keep making things worse, more difficult for me, and they don't need to be difficult. When someone starts harassing you or you see someone harassing somebody else, just remember they don't know what they're talking about. You be you, sweetie. You be happy with yourself, okay? All right, that's it. Let's see. What are we going to do? I will link my video about what trans feminine non-binary means up here, since I mentioned that earlier, and I'll connect one of the other random bits of thought on trans issues down here, and you can punch me in my face right here, click it, and you'll subscribe to the channel. All right, thanks everybody, peace, and long life.